Hey, welcome back, A-Push Kids. We're here for our next lecture on pre-Columbian societies in period one. Today we're going to be looking at labor, slavery, and the caste system in the Spanish colonial society. So last time we were here, we discussed the creation of the Columbian Exchange and how the Columbian Exchange impacted both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. Today, what we're going to be moving on to is we're going to be moving on to explaining how the growth of the Spanish Empire in North America shaped the development of social and economic structures over time. Now, this is going to be important because what we're going to be doing in a few lectures from now is we're going to be comparing the Spanish to the other European colonizers. So you'll need to be able to compare it to the French, to the Dutch, and then to the English, being able to not only compare them but also contrast how they developed. So our first is centered around the development of the economic system in the Spanish colonies, and particularly the encomienda system. Now, once again, notice that's a key term that's listed directly in the AP standards, so we really want to make sure we pay attention to what that is. So let's kind of jump into it. So when we think about when Christopher Columbus is going to discover the New World, Spain's going to begin its economic and spiritual conquest of America. God, gold, glory, had really been kind of this oversimplification of Spanish gold, but there is some truth to the matter. Castillo says, you can see his quote there, "We came here to serve God and also to get rich." Now, between 16 and 1700, Spain is going to really be the dominant force. You can see on the map on the right-hand side, all the areas that are in that kind of burnt orange color are going to be parts of that Spanish Empire. New Spain, Spanish Florida, New Granada, Peru, etc. So we really want to think of, like, why are they colonizing? Well, like we talked about last time, the big reason why they're coming is they're coming in for search of gold and silver. What we can see in this particular map right here is we see all the routes that Spanish conquistadors took in their search of gold and silver. They're going all over the place looking for the stuff, trying to find where that gold and silver would be. Now, they do find quite a bit of it, and as we learned last time, the amount that they found is going to have a major impact on the economy of Europe as it changes from feudalism over to capitalism. Now, not only are they there for gold and silver, though, but one of the other big reasons why they are there is for conversions, especially as Catholic missionaries. It's that whole God part of the three G's that we talked about 2 lectures ago. And in their attempts at this, they're going to try and convert Native Americans, and they're going to do so by the creation of what we call the mission system. And the mission system, all those little red dots are Spanish missions. Essentially, what they would do is they would send their missionaries, as well as soldiers and other people, into a particular region, and they would set up a Spanish mission, basically a church that would serve not only as a military center, but a religious center, as well as an economic center. And it attempted to not only convert, but also subjugate Native Americans in a particular region. Now, you can see where those Spanish missions are located at. Those would be Native American population centers, and where the Spanish are finding, particular raw materials that they would want or need. Many of those places still exist today. They are the sands. So San Diego, San Francisco, San Antonio are all former Spanish missions. Now, governmentally, the Spanish are going to be strictly controlled. They're going to be directly controlled by the Spanish government and by the Spanish crown. They're going to send viceroys to places like New Spain, which are going to speak directly for the King of Spain, and so they're not going to have any voting or democracy or anything like that that's going on. Now, everything can be based on the economy. On gold and silver mining. They're trying to find bullion, which is, the Spanish gold you see on the right-hand side. And the big thing that they're going to use, all right, is plantations, and using what's called the encomienda system. All right, oftentimes it starts off with Indian workers to farm crops like sugarcane, etc., or to work in mines. Now, The Spanish, though, are also going to socially, not only will we have this economic change, but we're going to have some social changes. And they're going to develop what we call a caste system. That's going to incorporate carefully defined the statuses of Europeans, Africans, and Native Americans. So one of the things we have to think of the growth of Spanish society, and this is a painting of these Spanish conquistadors arriving, is notice that they're all males. Okay, the Spanish society had almost all males, so very, very few women are going to come over. They're mostly single men looking for that gold and that glory that they want, and if they convert a Native American, cool. But because of this, oftentimes they're going to intermarry with locals. And so this is going to create these very different classes of people that's going to be developed into the caste system. Now, the caste system essentially defined a few different people. First, at the very top of this pyramid is going to be the peninsulares. Those are Spanish people born in Spain, such as the viceroys that you see there. Underneath that, you're going to have Spanish colonists, oftentimes called Creoles. They had land, they had wealth. They were people that were born in the colonies. So they weren't born in Spain, but they were people of complete Spanish heritage. So both the mother and father were of Spanish descent. Just they were born here in the Americas. Now, probably one of the largest groups that you had was the intermarriage, right? And what a group we called the mestizos. Now, because, and we saw in the last slide, there was a very big lack of colonial women, we see a lot of intermarriages, especially from white colonists and Native Americans. And this leads to mixed races. And we see a lot of mestizos, people that are of this mixed race. They have a Spanish father and a Native American mother. Now, we do have a few other groups as well here. You have Native Americans who make a large part of society, though that shrinks over time thanks to the diseases that we talked about yesterday with the Columbian exchange. And because of this, we start to see an increase of an African population. African slaves are going to start to be brought over at this time to work on the encomiendas because Native Americans are dying off. Now, this does also lead then eventually to another mixed race, what are called the mulattoes, which are the intermarriage between Spanish and African slaves. Well, that brings us to the end of our lecture for today. Today what we looked at was the development of Spanish society with its its economic focus on the encomienda system and the impact of that encomienda system on the social classes and the development of especially the mestizos, which is the ones that you're going to really want to remember. Remember to bring back to class your question and or comment, as well as your connection to something else that we've learned about or something else you've learned about at another time. Be prepared to share those in class. Until next time, go Pack.